It seems you can do anything in American football short of using a Tommy gun, so you mustn't expect me to explain the rules.
Players wear so much clothing, it's a wonder they can move at all.
Great deal for all the players in the league and everything else. Go out there and play this ball game like I know you can play it.
Let's go! Cunningham will put it up. He beats one man, beats another, is hit again. And down he goes.
There's something about Lawrence Taylor that is larger than life.
LT was a bad mother.
Back looking in, don't hit. Taken down by Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor comes on the scene, and we've never seen anybody that ferocious, that talented.
Once he gets the quarterback in his sights, he's going to get him.
The last defensive football player to win the Most Valuable Player award.
I tell you, Lawrence Taylor is going to be a force in this league.
This is Any Given Wednesday, the NFL podcast where two overseas fans delve into the NFL's glorious past in an attempt to greater understand its fascinating present. So whether you're still struggling to tell a touchback from a touchdown, or you're someone who chose the Super Bowl shuffle as the first dance at your wedding, this is the podcast for you. I'm Tom Parry, the wet behind the ears defensive coordinator, nervously struggling to write up the plays on the whiteboard that I've been up all night devising, whereas he is the veteran maverick linebacker who's stinking of booze because he's been up all night at the Mud Club with two supermodels on his arm and a pocket full of white powder. He takes the marker off me, draws up the plan for the game in seconds and says, "What's so hard about that?" Then goes back to sleep on the changing room floor. He's Hollywood handsome. He's cowboy tough. Yes, it's Mr. Mike Bobbins.
Tom Parry, you're a gentleman, sir. Thank you very much for that one.
Good to see you, my boy.
And a lovely little tip of the hat to the subject we'll get on to later on.
I mean, yeah, we can revisit that story as it really happened.
I got to say, mate, I love you, BJ.
Oh, thank you.
Raji
I give a good BJ, yeah.
You do. That's a fantastic
for the listener who isn't watching the video footage, there is a shirt of a player called BJ Raji behind me. I also do give a cracking BJ, but that's by the by.
That's just mere happenstance.
The BJ Raji interception, the touchdown and celebration is one of the most joyful American football moments.
I revisit
that often. His quality, yeah.
I don't know what his program weight and his real weight were not the same thing. I don't think BJ Raji.
Right? Yeah.
I am what the Americans would call 290 pounds, right?
Yeah,
I wear it well. You know,
you wear it.
I'm broad-shouldered, but if I'm 290, there's no way BJ Raji was an ounce under 400.
There is no way. Yeah, if you're listening to this, treat yourself.
No, he's not.
Google BJ Raji. He's a treat. And if you watch
the run though, mate, with the medal, he's your man.
Oh my God, he's the man. That is how you stuff a run. But if you watch his touchdown, his interception touchdown celebration, and it is watch the big man move. It's class. Did you get to watch much of the NFL this week, Mike?
I did. Yeah, I got to see a few games this week, which is nice. I've shown you my pièce de résistance, which I will share with the viewers and the listeners.
Oh my God.
My stained glass. I like to think of my bar as cathedral to football in general, the Green Bay Packers in particular. But you cannot have a cathedral, Tom, without stained glass. And the stained glass arrived on Friday.
So,
and you've seen the photographs.
Oh my God, it is insane.
I need you to be there, mate. I need you to be there.
A Green Bay Packers stained glass window in Bubs' bar.
And it's a triptych. It's in 3 parts as well. It looks amazing, doesn't it?
And it's sensational, mate. It's incredible.
Well, I designed it. I gave it to the stained glass people. There's only one place in Cardiff, so big up Ashdown Sales for doing that for me. Although I did pay him full price, so don't big it up too much. But my God, when he put it in, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
that is the bomb.
That is,
and even he said he's been in the game for years. He's like, "I don't get excited about this very often, but that does look amazing." I said, yeah.
He can't. What else is he doing? He can't be doing much business, can you? As a stained glass man.
I think a lot of people get a bit of stained glass done these days, and then there's all the renovation of churches and whatnot going on.
But you're his Sistine Chapel, Bubs. I love that.
I'll take you to a pub called the Royal Oak next time you're in Cardiff.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful old Cardiff Brains beer pub, which has got all the pub sports in stained glass on the window. So you've got like darts and snooker and boxing. And
Great.
obviously boxing is not a pub sport, but there was a boxing gym there because it was run by an Irish boxing family.
There's a Sam Smith.
What's that pub in Soho, mate, with all the
Champion?
Like WG Grace?
That's it. Just off Oxford Street. Yeah.
That's the one.
The Sam Smith's pub, and it's a decent cheap pint as well, but beautiful set of WG Graces there and a box.
We've got to do a pub podcast, Tom.
Well, exactly.
If you're listening to Any Given Wednesday and you'd like Tom and I to do a pub podcast, just get in touch with us. I'm trying to combine all the things I love and find a way to monetize all of them. So I got chatting with friends, meeting heroes, driving my own car, recording in my own pub, and talking about the NFL. If I can add drinking beer in my favourite pubs to that.
Full house.
My God. My God, Tom.
and then you're straight into like watching your kids play sport pod.
Yeah, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
A bit more niche, but like, people do listen.
What's this? If you listen to the latest episode of Lying on the Sofa Eating Cheesecake Pod with Mike Bobbins.
Not a fan of his long shits on a Sunday podcast, to be honest with you. It's not great. He just goes through the paper and it's not great, actually.
I mean, I think he's jumping the shark there.
That's what he calls it. Anyway.
So back to the question, did I see any football on the weekend? Yeah, I did, yeah. So
there you go. Have you got anything that piqued your interest whilst you were watching it? I've got a couple of things. There's
a couple of little things. The Packers won, thankfully.
I mean, we're recording this on a Monday. It was quite a late one, actually, and it's one of those games that really kept you till the end.
Mate. There's been a few of them already this season, though, hasn't there? Yeah. And another game this year decided by a big field goal, so the longest in Packers history. Bear in mind, they're the oldest franchise in the NFL.
Yeah.
That is the longest one in 104 years of the Green Bay Packers. And we're just seeing we'll see a 70-yard kick this season.
Well, and another guy who, and I know this seems like a theme that's happening all the time. He was going to be a substitute teacher 2 months ago. He'd been playing outside of the NFL. Thought, no, there's no way I'm going to make it as a professional athlete. I'm going to become a teacher. And there he is now.
We've all been there. We've all been there, mate.
61 yards. It's insane.
I know.
Incredible. And
Love looked a bit more. I thought Love got knocked out with that one running play, though. I was a bit hard on the mouth that.
Yeah, so I had a question.
I
had a question for you about that because currently probably our number one wide receiver, Romeo Dobbs, who suffered a couple of horrific concussions last season, he's opted to wear the Guardian cap, which is an optional. Well, I was going to ask you your opinion on it because I wanted your take on it because it's clearly safer. It's definitely something that every player should be wearing, but only a handful of players are wearing them because it does make you look pretty daft.
Well, I mean, a football helmet in the old days of the massive shoulder pads. We'll get on to Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor actually didn't wear that big of pads, but go back 10 or 15 years behind him, like a pair of proper old school Larry Zonka shoulder pads, right?
Yeah.
Then the helmet didn't look too bad. With the smaller and smaller pads that the boys wear now with the new technology.
Yeah.
And the helmets are slightly larger anyway because of the safety aspect. So you've already got a bigger head on smaller shoulders. It looks a bit odd.
Yeah. Just
those Guardian caps, mate.
You look like a bobblehead. You know, like those things
you look like you should be still on the parcel shelf of my car wearing one of those things.
And it's just not. It's horrible to say, but it just isn't cool.
It's not cool.
It's
this
just
is the coolest sport in the world. What are you doing?
Yeah,
I'm like, I get it, right? I'm not making light of CT.
Yeah, I get it. Concussion. Yeah, I know.
There must be some other way of doing it.
That's what I was going to say. It was in 2025. surely the answer can't be stick a pillow over your helmet. Like, that's what they've done. They've basically stuck a pillow over your helmet and go out wearing that. And it's like, who came up with it? It feels like an 8-year-old's designed them. It's like, there's got to be a cool way.
Wouldn't it? They start, they're basically, you know, like a scrum cap in rugby. They look like a big version of that, like a big neoprene and foam rubber.
Foam rubber, a helmet for a helmet, basically.
Yeah.
But it makes
they wore them in practice, which I can get, right?
Yeah.
You can't wear them on game days.
Well, there you go. I mean, look, it's going to be protecting your noggin for your longevity, and I'm sure the old age Romeo Dobbs is going to thank himself for playing with it on.
But I think, I'd like to see the thinking behind it. Obviously, the NFL there's the least concussions ever last season, so they're moving in the right direction, which is great.
Yeah, and the rule changes, a bit like
all
the way
part of that.
You know, all the rule changes of what you can and do, where you can
change. Yeah, all that's changed, and for the better, I think. People say the game's gone soft. Like, go on then, mate. The game's gone soft, is it? You wouldn't turn up at Lambeau Field next Sunday and see what happens to you, should we? Because I'm pretty sure you'd be dead in about 30 seconds. I got no time at all for the game's gone soft brigade, because it certainly hasn't gone soft. But yeah, so it's a weird. But you look at boxing. I always think about boxing where the head guards were ubiquitous in amateur boxing, right? But then when all the research came in, they said actually you're making a bigger target. It increases rotational force, and the injuries from the brain hit the inside of the skull.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Guardian caps. I don't know the tech behind it. If you're making this, your head's a bigger target.
I mean, surely in 2025 you could do that inside the helmet, or I don't know. There's got to be a better way. So
some sort of force field.
Yeah,
I was led to believe in the 80s that by 2025 we'd play in the NFL with jetpacks and force field helmets on.
Yeah. I maintain that magnets aren't doing any heavy lifting. I always thought magnets would be doing a lot more. Surely there's some kind of magnet shit that could happen there.
Now we're talking.
You see what I mean?
Magnetic repulsion.
Bung a little magnetic field over the top of your helmet, magnetic repulsion, off you go, and it's fucking
some sort of AI technology that switches polarity compared to depending on who you're next to. So you don't. Otherwise, you go helmet to helmet. You know, attraction
in devastating fashion. Actually, yeah. Actually, this could backfire really badly.
All 22 players were killed wearing the new Tom Parry magnetic helmet.
Yeah, that was the year we magnetised the helmets. Actually, now that I think about it. And yeah, we should have thought.
You remember Magnageddon in 2026?
Yeah, we had a go at the Guardian cap, but actually, there's something to be said about a pillow and a dream. The magnetising thing was a bad idea.
Have you seen one of my favourite films, The Jerk, with Steve Martin? Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
When he invents the opti-grab to remove his spectacles to stop the arms from splaying out, and it turns everybody cross-eyed. And he loses a fortune because he gets sued.
It's a great film.
This is it.
This is
magnetic helmet. It's such a promising start.
It's a good bad name, I tell you that. The magnetic helmets. I'd
watch them.
I'd watch them.
Producer Reese, got the t-shirt sorted. Me and Tom in magnetic helmets.
The magnetic helmets. And then the other question I had for you was
was it as stupid as that one?
There was in the Minnesota Vikings game, the tight end who I think is called Hockenheim. I think that's his name. Big beard, big hair guy, decent tight end. He pulled off this incredible catch in the end zone and kind of definitely caught the ball, but then landed and it kind of rolled a little bit onto the floor. Then he kind of secured it, and it looked incredible. He plucked it out of the air, and then there was like a 5-minute review, and it was overruled, and they said he didn't complete the catch. And I do find myself quite often watching the game and thinking, well, that's definitely a catch, and then pretty soon it gets overruled. And they always use this term: did they perform a footballing act?
Yeah,
and I don't know quite what that is.
The reception, isn't it? One's when you, it's Hawkinson, isn't it?
Hawkinson, yeah.
TJ Hawkinson, yeah.
There you go, yeah.
Very good player.
He's class.
He looks like a Viking too, which is great.
Yeah.
Big, good-looking bastard. long hair. Look at him. Magnificent.
I wondered why
Anyway.
you'd zoned out. I wondered why you'd zoned out on the back end of my question. You've just gone all doughy-eyed over a large
All the blood's left my head.
Minnesota tight end.
All my blood rushed south then.
Mike, let's have you back in the room, mate. Footballing act.
Right, so when you catch a football, it's like with a fumble, right? When's it a fumble? When is it an incomplete pass? So you've got to make a football act now. So if you throw the ball to me and I catch it, it's not enough for it to be in both my hands, right? In that split second.
Yeah.
If you then hit me immediately and the ball pop loose, that's an incomplete pass. It's not okay.
Yeah.
If you pick it up, it's not an interception, and it's not a fumble. So I've got to make a move, which could be it could be anything recognized. It's very vague, but it could be. It's usually a step or two under control, or you could cut like we would call a side step.
Yeah.
Or you could do a stiff arm, we call a handoff, right?
Tucking the ball.
Yeah, you've got to make
it in.
Any footballing move that is then under control. Then you become a ball carrier. You can fumble then, all right?
Right.
And the ball is a free for all. Then
so it's a live ball. Yeah.
The same thing with a catch when you're hitting the floor. In the old days, you catch the ball with two hands, 2 feet in bounds. It's a touchdown. Now it's not as simple as that because you've got to complete the catch.
Right. There you go. That's a phrase that keeps cropping up.
So when you go to ground, you've got to maintain, even though it's daft. If it was a running play, if I run from a runner in play, and as soon as that a millimeter of the football reaches that invisible plane of the goal line,
right.
As soon as that happens, doesn't matter if it gets smashed back 10 yards, doesn't matter if like drop the ball after that, doesn't matter if it gets popped out, doesn't matter what happened. They've scored the touchdown, right?
Yeah.
But as a receiver, you've got to complete the catch. So even if I catch it in the end zone, 2 feet in bounds, if I go to the floor and the ball bobbles, it doesn't count. You've got to basically you've got to maintain control of the ball.
Through landing, rolling, whatever you do.
Yeah. And the other thing is that the floor can touch the ball.
That's the bit that I was going to ask.
This is the real grey area.
Because I say if I pluck the ball out of the air, I bring it down, I'm falling, then the ball and my hands hit the ground.
Right. Now, what the officials do in that situation is if the floor wasn't there,
oh yeah,
would you have completed the catch, basically, right? Did that?
Okay.
So there's two things to look at. Did the floor, the surface of the field, help you to make the catch?
Right. Okay. Yeah, I like that way. That's a better way of explaining it. That second bit.
Okay. Well, they will leave there. Nice and simple, right? So
yeah.
So they will look and they'll see. This is why these ones take so long to review. They'll look at movement of the ball. Did it move in his hands? You know, if the AstroTurf or the grass wasn't there, would he have made that catch? But it's a real grey area. And I don't like it, to be honest, mate. I think it should be, if you've got two hands on the ball and the ball is stationary at that point.
Yeah. I mean, that's
2 feet in bounds.
It's just, again, it's just cooler that way. It's cooler that way. It's quicker that way. And everyone can see.
It's ambiguous, mate. There used to be a rule where you could be, you could catch the ball in midair. And if you were forced out in midair by a tackler, the official could rule that you would have landed in bounds.
Oh, I like that.
But they got rid of that because they said it was too much of a grey area. But now they got this real grey area instead. I just think it should be 2 hands on the ball, or the ball secured, one hand if it's secure, right? If you do an Odell Beckham and you just grip it solidly in one hand, 2 feet on the floor, touch.
Call this moving football.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's not. I don't think it's well liked by
it's
fans.
a bit like in our football when they overcomplicate the handball rule, and it's like by the time you get to, if there's a third like bylaw in the law, then you go, oh, you've messed this, you fucked it, because it's like, well, if this is going to take longer than 2 minutes to decide whether it's a thing that you could just.
I think the NFL gets replay right. The way they do it is very good compared to a lot of other sports, but yeah, that's an unnecessarily grey area, that one.
It is indeed. speaking of grey areas, should we start to look at that speak pipe?
Yeah, let's play. Yeah,
keep getting in touch, guys. Producer Reese has told us that we've been inundated with emails, speak pipes.
Very kind.
Please do keep on getting in touch. We love to hear from you.
Spread the word as well. Spread the word about any given
Wednesday. Yeah, if you've got any mates who are also getting into the game or have loved it for a long time and are looking for a podcast that isn't experts talking from a place of knowledge, send them this way. Send them this way. Any Given Wednesday pod, we're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you know all the lot. So you ready for your first speak pipe, Bubs?
Polish it up, bro. Let's have it. Give it a rub. Let's see what happens.
Hello, Tom and Mike, or is it Mike and Tom? Who is the leader of this podcast? Have we established a leadership role? Who is the Steph Guerrero? Who is the Matt Crosby?
Oh,
that's the question.
Who's this idiot?
The rest is probably a meandering reason why I support the Seahawks. It's David Rigby. I support the Seahawks. I live in Stoke-on-Trent, which is twinned with Seattle, apparently, if you don't check the internet. But the reason I was into it, I've been watching NFL for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And more properly, watching the highlights especially, but the odd big game. But the reason I'm into them is because my dad picked up a Seahawks kit with helmet and everything, like a baby version.
I remember these.
Kid version. And when I got back into it, I would just pick the Seahawks.
Good.
I think I had Raiders kits and then the Bears kits when I was, not kits, clothing, when it was the 90s and all that NFL came back in as the cool thing to wear. Yeah. But I was always a Seahawks fan. It was only for fashion I was doing that. So good luck to the pod. I'm loving learning about the history because that's the big gap in my knowledge. So I just wanted to know if you'd want to be best mates with me, either of you. That's two. Okay, thank you.
So Dave, let's address the points sequentially, Tom. First of all, there is no leader. This is a happy trilogy. Should I quote like the Godhead, like a trinity? Should I say
the triplets?
Trinity, a triumvirate, if you will.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboy triplets.
I see the unseen Reese Waters as like the Holy Spirit.
Troy Aikman.
I see me as a fairly belligerent God. And you as a living Jesus.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that.
I'm very Old Testament. You're very New Testament, and Reese is everywhere at all time.
Well, and also this is a podcast that champions the ultimate team sport, where the team is all encompassing and sure.
Plus, let's not forget, Dave. I'm Welsh. I'm the grandson of coal miners and dock workers. Tom's from the West Midlands, the industrial heartland of Britain.
Yeah,
Reese is from the Welsh Valleys. We don't nail our political colours to any mast. But let's just say there are no kings on this podcast. Am I
right? Love that, Bubs.
No, we split the roles. I say we split the roles equally. Reese does a lot of legwork. You always write some brilliant intros. And
you do turn up. Yeah, you do turn up, right?
He is right about Matt. He is right about Cros and Steph, though, isn't he? To be fair.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Got to have someone who does the admin. If that's the question, who's doing the admin? Then big shout out to producer Reese and all his fine work on socials. but also very, very nice reason to choose the Seahawks.
I remember those kits, mate. You could buy them. They were big disclaimer. They're saying not for contact use, And it was a plastic helmet with the old fashioned 2-bar face cage, but with only one vertical bar, if I remember correctly.
Like clipped, like a clip on, that would pop off.
With like knee length trousers and a shirt. And they were the teams. They were Seattle. What else was there on those ones? You could get a Bears one. I'm sure Dallas had one as well. Yeah, Seahawks. I think the Seahawks look cool.
They're a cool franchise,
and I think Seattle's always seen as quite cool. It's like it's Starbucks and Nirvana, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah,
grunge.
Yeah.
So I think the Seahawks are like a cool team. So they
Am I right in thinking that they've got the reputation of being the loudest fans in the NFL?
Yeah, they're supposed to be, yeah. They call them, what they call them? 12th man.
Yeah, I think so.
And it says it's not even a dome stadium. It's the loudest stadium.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's right.
And I told you on one of the other pods, in the days of in the 80s when pre-internet and when buying NFL stuff was very difficult to do, Woolworths did a small range of NFL stuff. Mum brought me a Seattle Seahawks kit bag to take to school. So really, Dave, I'm sort of, they're one of the teams I always look out for. So
you got a toe in that camp.
Yeah. Another team that I wish would go back to the old uniforms.
Yes, whenever they did the throw, whenever they did the throwback, it looks great. Whenever they did
Dave
the throwback,
Krieg back in the day.
They're also balling out this season. They're having a great season.
There's football,
yeah, a lot of people.
And I really like Pete Carroll as well. I had a lot of time for him.
Yeah, he's struggling at the Raiders at the moment, but he comes across as a very good man. Thanks, Dave. We've got time for one more speak pipe.
By the way, hang on. Let's not Dave off the hook too quickly. If Seattle is tuned with fucking Stoke-on-Trent, Dave, I'll eat my hat.
Great. We're going to check it, Dave. We're going to check that, and then if it's true, then Mike will be eating a hat of your choice.
Made out of Staffordshire oat cakes. I'll eat my Staffordshire oat cake hat. They are. How haven't they caught on? I love Welsh cakes, right? And I'm amazed that my English friends haven't tried Welsh cakes. The ones who have love them, right?
They're amazing.
The Staffordshire oat cake is something else. It appears to be limited to Staffordshire.
Yeah, it's so true, actually.
Oh, my mate Steve, Big Fat Steve, used to bring back, he was a Stokey. I lived with him in university. He would bring back Staffordshire oat cakes. We'd have them with butter and cheddar cheese. Oh, my God.
There you go.
Anyway, move them in.
Send some in, Dave.
Yeah, don't be shy.
If you want us to be your best mates, then send us some oat cakes. We're easily bought. Let's have the second speak pipe.
Hiya, lads. It's Sam here, a Green Bay Packers fan based in Wigan, the northwest of England.
Yes, Sam.
Absolutely loved the show. I was delighted when I saw that it had come back after some time away. What I wanted to ask you both was if you can remember back to Lester Hayes of the Raiders and his use of the glue adhesive Stickum on his arms to help him grip and keep hold of the ball, I think. Just wondering if you can think of any other ways, any other loopholes or quirky things that other NFL teams have done in the past to gain an advantage. Thanks a lot, lads. Love the show.
Oh, I like that. Nice one, Sam. Fellow Packers fan.
Great to hear.
Good
Great to hear,
man.
Sam. Yeah.
Lester Hayes. So Stickum, if you don't, was like a resin. Horrible looking, looked like axle grease. Really thick stuff. And players would coat themselves. And Lester Hayes was known for it, for a ton of it. The other fellow was, I think, Fred Biletnikoff, the old Raiders chain-smoking wide receiver. Used to have an awful lot of that one as well.
Yeah, wasn't it was this like Madden's Raiders kind of time?
Yeah, and so it was.
They'd go with basically like clubs on their arms just to.
But they would just have so much
stick people with.
Oh yeah, well, that was a different thing. That was their kit man who used to you had players who had a broken thumb for like 9 years.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what made me think of. There
was the one, what's his name? Villapiano was it? Who was the guy who used to have the can opener? He had the one like a plastic-cast thumb.
Yeah, a plastic-cast thumb that he would jam.
And Gene Upshaw was had massive must have had more broken wrists than anyone in the league.
Yeah,
2 huge casts every Sunday as well.
And
so Stickum it was to aid grip, but some players, I think Fred Biletnikoff, one of his nicknames was Stick 'em Up Billy, because he had so much on. They said if the ball hit him on the back of the helmet, it would stick.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's really good.
So the league banned it eventually. It was messy stuff, but they got those gloves now. Have you tried? Have you seen the proper receiver gloves?
Yeah.
It's like a cheat code, isn't it?
It is. It really is. Yeah. Shouldn't really be
interesting. Well, you mentioned one. So if you're talking about interesting tactics, one was interesting use of the fracture and the plaster cast.
Yeah. I mean, I think we looked at it in the earlier series when the Raiders, back then with Madden, they would all go out with kind of plaster cast and just absolutely batter people. So it's just absolutely terrifying.
Well, yeah, the one that springs to mind in recent memory would be DeflateGate. So the fact that the Patriots would get the balls deflated for home games. And people say, well, what's the difference? What's the difference? Well, if you look at it's not so much, it's the fumble stats. If you look at their percentage of fumbling during the DeflateGate era was so much lower than the rest of the league. Because if you've never played football or played with a football that's regulation pressure, they're like a rock. They're really hard to hold. You can obviously get broken in, but I mean, it's much harder than a rugby ball or a soccer ball. And they're very pointy. They're very angular. So, yeah, the Raiders, it was in contact. It's much easier to hold on to a ball that's slightly less inflated. So they found that the Patriots.
The Patriots, yeah. I was just having a quick look because it was Tom Brady that got the big, like, they went for Brady for it, didn't they? So, like,
yeah.
And there was a lot of chat at the time of, like, is it a witch hunt or whatever? But he was suspended for the first 4 games of the 2016
NFL
really
season. The throwing game or the catching game.
Yeah, so why ban Brady? Basically, I mean, it's definitely the subject for another.
Oh, we should do one of those.
Yeah, we'll definitely be able to do it because it involved at the time, obviously, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, the two biggest.
But it all fed into that narrative that Belichick was like this practitioner of the dark arts. Well, we'll get to Belichick when we do the doc in a sec. But I mean,
yeah, I mean that was the other thing I was going to say. Is stealing signs is another thing, isn't it? Where
everyone does it, though, mate.
Yeah, but go into that because that's the other thing that people accuse people of. Happened a couple of weeks ago.
Well, the Raiders got done with that. The Patriots got done for that. So there's parts of the NFL are weirdly anachronistic. Like you can't look at real time video footage on the sideline. Certainly you couldn't. I think you still can't. So you'll see, like, when your coordinators sat down there with players showing them stuff, it'll be a series of still photographs. Right? They can't show them a replay of the game. I don't know why. That's just a thing.
Is that still the same? So when they're looking at iPads now, they must be able to watch replays there.
No, I don't think they can. I don't think they can. I might be wrong about that, but they certainly couldn't a couple of seasons ago. So with the signaling, with a lot of the stuff, you'll see them on the sideline with like a laminated sheet. With
covering their faces,
plays on it. Yeah. So I think certain teams, and I don't think it was beyond Belichick to send people up into the stands to try and look at the. Bless you, Thomas.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, carry on.
To try and look at those sheets and try to focus in on it and get a bit more information. There's always been codes in football, and there's always been people trying to break the codes. It's the same in football. It's the same in rugby. It's the same in any team sport. When there's a little bit of strategy there, the other team will try and even it up a little bit. But
I've got a book that I'll find the name of that talks about the advent of the game and this specific college that pioneered the throwing game way back when, and they had a lot of.
Oh, that'd be Walter Camp, wouldn't it?
It's in the house.
Father of football.
I'll find it out, but it talked about one team that had footballs as a logo on the chest of their jersey so that they could better disguise who was holding the ball.
Oh, great idea.
So when it came back and the QB would be handing it off, it's basically back when it was just pretty much a scrum. It was like in the very, very early days. But yeah, the logo of their football shirt had the football emblazoned on the front of it so that it confused defenses. Yeah, I'll find out the exact details for you and tell you next week.
I'm always amazed that more teams, I can only think of Cleveland, haven't got a brown kit.
To hide the ball.
Because surely if you're a running back, if you put a pair of brown gloves on with a brown jersey, it must be easy to fake a run if you've got a brown jersey on than a white jersey.
That's a really good point. Because the Chargers were playing at the
This is the
weekend.
magnetic helmet. We're revolutionising. We're like two Walter Camps for the 21st century.
Our team are going to have magnetized helmets and brown uniforms, and they're going to run
brown non-ferrous uniforms.
Crucially, they cannot be ferrous. For the love of God. Right, keep the speak pipes coming in, guys. We're going to move into this week's topic. Each week we choose a different team from the NFL, focusing on one interesting aspect from their past. Great seasons, players, personalities, games. You know the drill by now. This week we are looking at one of, if not the greatest defensive player to ever grace the gridiron, playing for one of the most famous franchises in the NFL. We're looking at the New York Giants and the incredible playing career and checkered personal life of Mr. Lawrence Taylor. LT.
Oh, I've been waiting for this one, mate. I've been waiting. We'll smash the fourth wall for listeners / viewers. And obviously we're going to cover every franchise and we'll come back to the start again. We'll start doing it again. But as soon as I thought, we both, I think, sort of thought Giants. What's a great story about the Giants? It's got to be LT. He's still, and he retired in the 90s, he's still the only defensive player to win the NFL Most Valuable Player Award.
Yeah.
Although certainly the last. I don't think he's the only one ever. I think he was. He's certainly the last one to win it. What a player, mate. And for me, I went down a little rabbit hole watching a few Lawrence Taylor ones. The Football Life one on the NFL Network is unsurprisingly brilliant, like they always are.
It's superb, isn't it?
But this was peak Mike Bobbins football fan era.
Yeah, I was going to say this is the sweet spot for you, right?
Oh, man. I mean, I back into it the last 10, 15 years. But it really started for me in sort of 83, 84, through to sort of 1990 when I was 18. And then you go to university and do other stuff and all that. But that's those sort of key formative years for me watching the football was 83 to 1991, around there.
Yeah.
So LT was... And I loved rugby. I loved tackling. I then loved the sort of just the uncompromising nature of the NFL. I loved it. So this bloke for me was like, wow. I mean, I got to see one of the best defensive players, one of the best football players of all time play. Like on it was highlights on Channel 4 once a week, but it was just thrilling me. He was an absolutely unblockable at his best.
An absolute beast. The footage is still kind of, it's sensational. And when they bandy around phrases now like game wrecker and things like that, but you just see this guy, and even like footage from 1982. So that's his second season. They're showing these, and it is like watching a man against boys. It feels, it's like when you watch Lionel Messi make 5 people miss and then he just scores and you go, that guy's playing on a different plane to the other people. He's on a different level. It's like you watch this guy and it is like they cannot cope with him. It's incredible.
There are players who change the rules of the game. Like I think of some of the rules they brought into the NHL because of Wayne Gretzky was just head and shoulders, right? They changed formations and they changed whole schemes around Lawrence Taylor. And then if you look at, there's a great bit in the Football Life doc where, like, when I started watching football, there were 2 backs, right? You were 2 running backs, a tailback and a fullback usually. Sometimes they split them, but 2 running backs. So if you had Roger Craig, you had Tom Rathman. You know, there were 2 backs in the backfield. The problem with that is on a passing play, one of those or both of those running backs, if one of them goes out on a little flare route to catch have like a relief pass there in the backfield, you got 1 running back blocking for the quarterback. So if you get past the offensive line, he's there to put a little chip in and give you a little bit of extra time, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say Lawrence Taylor invented edge rushing, but he was certainly the vanguard of that, right?
Yeah.
You could argue that he did invent it, right?
I think you really could. Like that, and that isn't me saying. That's what like people like Bill Belichick say.
So then they thought, well, we can't block this guy with a running back. That's not going to happen, right? We can't block him with 2 offensive linemen. We're certainly not going to block him with a running back. So let's just have one back and let's put 2 big tight ends in. Let's have that almost sort of that, which is a look that became the single back offense now is the predominant offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
And you could argue that a lot of that is because of one player.
Yeah, which is
because the way that Lawrence Taylor played the game.
Yeah.
That became like what we'll mention when we do the Bears. I'm sure we'll mention my other favorite defensive player and probably my favorite player ever, Dick Butkus, right? And they mentioned Butkus in the Taylor talk. Why he didn't want to wear Butkus' number.
Yeah, he was compared to him early on in his career, I think, was he?
Yeah. But middle linebacker was like seen as the quarterback of the defense, right? That was the cool position. Middle linebacker. Yeah. Middle linebacker. Suddenly Lawrence Taylor comes in at outside linebacker. And that became a thing. That was like
the thing. Yeah.
So now if you're you'll see in some of the NFL stuff, and they'll just call it edge. What's your position? Edge.
Edge. Yeah.
Right. You're that maniac. You're that. You can come in and stop the run if you need to. You can catch a runner from behind like Taylor does. The number of times he caught runners from behind is insane, right, for a big man.
Yeah.
But just
the explosiveness, the kind of rawness.
Imagine being Ron Jaworski there.
The power.
You're stuck in the NFC East, and you know that twice a season you've got to play Lawrence Taylor. And Belichick, obviously Belichick goes on to become arguably, certainly in the top 3 or 4 coaches of all time in the NFL. But sort of got to start there with Lawrence Taylor, Bill Parcells was. I tell you what I loved about this, mate. The 80s was very Thatcher watching any sort of sport in Britain.
Okay.
And he was always painted, even in the American football press in this country, which I thought was poor now in hindsight, but at the time, as this cocaine-addicted madman who's drug-fueled orgies and all this sort of stuff. And
yeah.
Even at the time, like when I was 15 years old, I thought, what the fuck is that got to do with anybody else? What's that got to do with this football, right? You don't sign up to be a role model. That's not your job. Your job is to play football, right? And I've never got the whole role model thing particularly. But he also...
Despite being one.
But they painted him as a villain. I don't think he was a villain. Like Joe Theismann says, and that I can remember seeing that break, and his leg bent before it snapped. It was horrendous.
Oh my God.
But Theismann says he wasn't a dirty player.
No.
He didn't want to quit, and he played tough, but he wasn't a dirty player. And if you watch those highlight reels, it's very unusual to watch it. I'm not going to slag players out. You can watch Ray Lewis stuff and think, oh, mate, that's a bit offside, right?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that Ray Lewis does, I don't approve of on the football field, right? I don't think Lawrence was that sort of player. I think he was fucking fierce and competitive.
Yeah.
And an absolute machine of a defensive player. But I don't think he was dirty. But yeah, and he had demons because he's a bloody... Do you know what I mean? He's grown up with a ton of cash from nowhere.
In New York City in the 80s.
Do you know what I mean?
It's I mean, there's a lot of emotion. It made me think of, and obviously Lawrence Taylor, his achievements, kind of obviously 2 Super Bowls, and insane things that just keep getting said. Like the Giants had not made the playoffs in 18 years. You think of the New York Giants, like in my head, I was like, they're a storied kind of franchise. They hadn't made the playoffs for 18 years. And in his rookie year, he takes them to the playoffs. And his teammates, that's what they say is like he changed the dressing room. He changed the environment. He put the team on his shoulders and he showed everyone like, he made the winners. Everyone's bandying around, everyone says he's a leader. He leads by example. He's a leader of men. And none of those things square up with that reputation of going like, because and
Parcells, I think, was very progressive for the time, right? And you listen to the way that Lawrence talks about Bill Parcells is quite touching, right? And it's the same way people like Don Shula, when they talked about Larry Zonka. Don Shula says, it's as a head coach, it's tough to get to know a player on a personal level, but it's tough not to fall in love with someone like Larry Zonka. And I think Bill Parcells and LT was almost like a father-son relationship.
Yeah.
Because when he was in all that shit with the drugs and the cocaine and everything else, right? It would have been the easiest thing in the world for Parcells to throw him under the bus, right?
Because he had a reputation for being that kind of man, like this uncompromising, take no shit guy. He comes out and
says, this is a sickness. I'm not going to jump on him because he's got a sickness. I'm going to support him. I'm here for him. Yeah. And the cynic would say, well, yeah, because he's an NFL MVP and you want him back on the roster. And obviously that's an aspect of it. But I think Parcells genuinely had a genuine affection for Lawrence Taylor and what he brought to the team, what he brought to the locker room. And you can see that Lawrence Taylor has got an awful lot of time for Bill Parcells. Like he said, he'd always be my man. I'll always have his back. Because it's easy, there's one of my favorite films is a film called Big Wednesday, right? It's a surf film.
Okay.
With I highly recommend it, mate. It's a beautiful 70s film.
Yeah.
But there's a line there that has always stuck with me, and I'll have to paraphrase it. But two of the main characters fall out, and the one guy hits the skids, and he's drinking, and his life's fucked up, and it's all built around sort of Vietnam War and surfing and all that sort of stuff. And the guy who's hit the skids is blaming himself, and he says to another friend of theirs, "It's my fault, everything was starting to go wrong for me." And he says, "Well, but that's when you need your friends. When you're up, everyone wants to be your friend. Right?
Yeah,
you find out who your friends are when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
So for Lawrence Taylor, when you're in all those nightclubs having photographs with fucking Magic Johnson and
Mike
Bruce
Tyson.
Willis and Mike Tyson and
Eddie Murphy.
Houston.
Insane photos of like pure peak 80s New York
You're the
City.
king of New York and New Jersey in the 80s, right? Yeah. Everyone wants a bit of you then, of course. But then when you're on the shit, like when he's in handcuffs in court there, when his old teammate turns up, or when they haven't spoke for years.
Made me cry. That bit in the documentary made me cry. Harry Carson, they were massive teammates, played together for season, huge force together. And then they fell out when, once LT had retired and was, arrested for crack, and he started he was in a terrible place.
I think he was trying to tell them some whole truths, and you don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But your mates who love you, who's going to tell you otherwise? Who's going to tell you that?
They'd stopped talking, and then when in 2010 he was arrested and went to prison for sex offence, Harry Carson turns up in court and puts his hand on his shoulder during the
Hall of Fame induction there in Canton. When he says, and Lawrence spots him and says, "I didn't invite him. He wasn't my guest. He's turned up here." So he would have turned up there off his own back, paid for his own ticket and whatever.
Yeah.
He wanted to be there for his teammate who hadn't spoken to him for 10 years.
And it is the relationship is that of a problem kid at school and a teacher who never gives up on them. The Parcells, Lawrence Taylor kind of relationship. That's what you see. And, it was extremely personal to the point where once Parcells retired, like Lawrence Taylor was never the same player again. And 3 years later, he retired then. And it's like he said he struggled to play for anyone else.
He made a great quote. He said, "When Bill left, I didn't want to hit and I didn't want to be hit."
Yeah.
He said, "So I retired then." He said, "But it just took 3 years for me to realize that." He basically checked out.
Yeah. And
that takes balls to admit that as well. But I love my bloody heroes to be flawed and be complex and not to be black. Please let that be his real apartment, by the way.
Oh, my God.
Please let me get a freight elevator to fucking Lawrence Taylor's penthouse apartment in New York.
Just light a huge cigar in as you go on the way up.
There's a bit right at the beginning. I thought, this is going to be the doc for me, man. He's on about getting his grandchildren around him. Hopefully, one day in the future, he'll still sit around and say, because like Deion Sanders had like Prime and Dion, right? He had LT and Lawrence Taylor. So LT was game day, right? And they say, they want to sit down and say, "Granddaddy, what was LT like?" And he says, "LT was a bad motherfucker."
And you're like, yeah.
Fucking right he was. Well,
so
I was a Redskins fan in the 80s because you could never see the Packers games because they were so terrible.
Right.
And my dad was a Redskins fan, so I was like a default Redskins fan. So I remember all those games. And he's my go-to tough guy when I talk about anybody, Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Because I just remember him smashing Joe Theismann and smashing Jaworski and then smashing Joe Montana, by the way, right? Joe Montana is no Dan Marino when it comes to contact.
No, yeah, oh my God, yeah.
You run past him and like flick him in the ear and you fall over.
He's down.
I'm having it. Yeah, nice hit, Lawrence.
That introduction that I gave at the start of the podcast was based on Bill Belichick talking about when he just started being defensive coordinator. And he said Lawrence Taylor would have been out all night at a club, got in at 4, would come to training stinking of booze, and he would be like sleeping under a table. So Bill Belichick's trying to put together how they're going to play the Dolphins on Sunday. Yeah. And he said, LT just got up and took the board marker off him, drew it up in seconds and said, what's so hard about that? That's what we're going to do. I'm going back to sleep. I went back to sleep. And they won.
And you know what? You can get away with that shit. There's a bit in, what's the baseball film mate with Tim Robbins? Oh my God. About the Bill Durham. Kevin Costner. And he basically tells Tim Robbins' character to clean his jockstrap and smarten up a bit, right? He said, when you're a big hit in the majors, you can do all this shit and you'll just be seen as eccentric, but you haven't earned the right to do it, right? You're a fucking rookie. So if you're a coordinator thinking, who does Lawrence Taylor think he is to fall asleep in one of my briefings? Well, I'll tell you who he is. He's probably the greatest defender to ever play football.
Yeah, that's what he is. Exactly.
And as well as having all the physical attributes, right, and that mean streak you need. You talk to anybody who knows football, they said they mentioned it in here, he had like a photographic memory.
Yeah.
And was a genius.
Well, Belichick said the smartest player he ever played with or for. Like he said, like the smartest player I ever played with is LT. He could just see the game and he just understood everything.
With Tom Brady for like...
That's it. I loved that when Belichick was saying that. He was like, he's the smartest player. And that's, you obviously when you look at someone who is so violent, so explosive, you don't talk about the mental side to their game. But he was like, a lot of people said as well, if he had a different lifestyle and become a coach, he would have coached Super Bowl winning teams. The quote that really got me at the end of the documentary, because it reminded me of Gascoigne, and obviously Gascoigne never achieved the heights that LT did, but when they're talking to him about his post-retirement tribulations and all of that, and he's kind of looks so wistful, and he says, football is so much easier than life. And he was like, he's like, if only it could be football, because he was like, I can do football, I get it. It's so easy for me. That's
right, though, mate.
And life was so hard. I feel
that every day now. Still, I'm 53 years of age, right? I was in the park Sunday. Went to watch my boy play. Watch a local club play Saturday. Went to watch my boy play on Sunday. And I said to my wife, God, I miss rugby. I miss playing it. Life's simple when we play rugby. If someone winds you up or someone's being an arsehole, you just smash them. Because if you're a big mouth, you're going to get found out. If you're full of shit, you're going to get found out. It's just easy, right?
Yeah.
And the real world's not like that. And the other thing that I thought of players, he mentioned something which is really poignant as well. When they got to that Super Bowl, the first one,
yeah,
and then after that, you think, what now?
I've got to the top of the mountain.
For those lads, it's the struggle and the grind to get there.
Yeah,
and that's your focus. That's your rudder, right?
Yeah,
and then like Brady mentions it. The moment you lift it, you think, God, I've got to repeat this next year. You can't enjoy it. You can't enjoy it for a second. And
no,
it's weird, isn't it? But it's the struggle and the striving to get there. That's the joy of it.
Absolutely. Just to finish by saying, he is in Any Given Sunday, which is one of my all-time favorite films. And he's the player. Jim Brown's the coach. So Jim Brown is coaching Lawrence Taylor in it. But I saw an interview where he was talking about it, and there's this incredible story he told, which is he was in rehab, having retired, and Oliver Stone turned up to visit him in rehab. He must be the worst person in the world to visit someone in rehab. And he said, I'm going to be filming this film. I want you to be in it. And he said, I don't think I'm going to have enough time because of the rehab and stuff. I don't think I'll be ready. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, I want you as an advisor. So come and hang out on set and you can advise the actors on how to do it. So the part that LT is playing is a part based on him called Shark. And Oliver Stone had cast Michael Duncan Clark, you know, the huge guy from Armageddon and Green Mile. Yeah. And LT said he came on set and Oliver Stone said, watch this now. And they were doing filming the football sequences right at the start of the shoot. And Michael Duncan Clark, was running into people and LT was like, it's just not, it's like he's just like, there's like marshmallows. That's what he says to Oliver Stone. He's like, that's not impact. And Oliver Stone was like, pad up, go out there and show them. So he went out there. Michael Duncan Clark was pulled out. And LT said he went in and just just played. And he said the second he did his first hit, Oliver Stone just jumped up and went, that's the shit I'm talking about. And fired Michael Duncan Clark on the spot. Said, sorry, mate, you're fired.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no shame in that.
No shame.
You go, I lost out on that job about the maniac middle linebacker. Who to? Lawrence-Taylor. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense.
And he's really good in that film. He's got that, don't drop me.
I was surprised
I'm worth
he didn't do more
$1 million. Yeah, he's superb.
Why did he do more in more films? And he's still the Football Life one's probably about 10 years old now. So I reckon he's probably about 65 now, Lawrence-Taylor. But he's still in great shape.
Yeah.
Oh man, for me, this brought back a lot of happy memories for me. I just, as a Redskins fan, you know, you sort of hated him on a Sunday.
Yeah, of course.
But you just wished you'd play for the Redskins, or if the Packers had been on a bit more TV, I wish you'd play for the Packers.
So is there, just to finish up, in terms of like the modern game, are there any modern players that make you that remind you of LT or make you think of his kind of ability? Or do you think he really was so far ahead of the rest that
they say generational, but he was more than that. I mean, generation's like 20 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of somebody now that plays. Well, Ray Lewis is the one they always talk about, but I don't think Ray Lewis is a patch on LT. Not when we look at the talk, but I know that Ravens team are brilliant and they've won a Super Bowl and Ray did what Ray does, but he's no Lawrence-Taylor to me.
Yeah.
I suppose he would be the nearest one now. I'm trying to think. I'm struggling, mate. I'm struggling to think of anybody that
can just dominate as much as he can.
I can't think of anybody, again, maybe Ray, where offensive coordinators go, shit. We call this play the 56.
Yeah.
we have to stop this man. Right? It doesn't matter if everyone knows. But he was so switched on that he would then read that new assignment or those blocking assignments and switch and change and do something different. And I don't think.
No,
I can't.
I like that. I like that though. I like that. That's exactly what.
I love football, and I can't think of anybody in the last 30 years who's done what Lawrence-Taylor did. And people who played with him and against him and coached him said the same thing. Like there's that little bit at the end of the Football Life doc where it's he's in the apartment there and they're showing different screens and people just saying he's the best football player I ever saw. He's not the best defensive player I ever saw.
No, best player. Yeah. Belichick says, you give me a blank team sheet and tell me I can put any player in the history of the game and put a team together. First name on that team sheet is Lawrence-Taylor.
You take that.
Belichick says that. You take that.
You take that, wouldn't you? Bloke has won 7 Super Bowls, whatever it is.
Well, there we go. LT, check out the highlight reels. There's loads of them online, and oh my god, yeah, it's.
And wouldn't the Giants love him now?
Yeah, they would. They really would.
And a kicker. It's a brilliant doc, and he was a fantastic. Obviously, he got his demons. They don't shy away from that. But my God, what a player!
Yeah. Well, loved chatting to you about LT, Mike, and let's take victory formation, and I'll see you next week.
Much